Hello, hello, hello. Welcome again. Welcome back to yet another episode of HTV Hear Their Voices. This is an ICON podcast. My name is Priscilla Onyedikachi Ozodo Acevedo. Yes, that is long. You can call me Priscilla. And it's a joy. It's my joy to be your host here at HTV. For those of you who are joining us for the first time and like, what is ICON? What is HTV? HTV is Hear Their Voices, and ICON is the International Committee on Nigeria. And what we do is we promote human dignity, the right to live, religious freedom, and the protection of the lives of the vulnerable against all forms of persecution, particularly in Nigeria. So thank you for joining us again today. We've done this the past 3 weeks, and this week is not going to be an exception. We don't want to watch this by ourselves, right? We want to get as many people as possible to join us to hear about the things, the issues that are facing Nigeria. So please join me. Pull out your phone. If you follow us on Facebook, if you don't, this is the time to do it. I can help. Go follow us on Facebook. You'll receive this live and you can go. It goes, ICON is live. Oh, there, I have to turn myself down. So you go and you just hit the share button. You don't have to say anything more than watch this with me. Watch with me. Let's post that. And right away, there are people that are watching with you. For those of you who may not follow us on Facebook and you're watching this on YouTube, if you're subscribed to our channel and you've hit the bell notification, you should receive a notification right now to say ICON is live. If you don't, you can go to ICON Help and click on videos. And yeah, once you go to ICON Help, it says ICON is live, and you can take that and share it. For me, I like to share it on my WhatsApp status and share it to friends. And right there, more than just yourself is watching our show, okay? So for those of you who shared it, let me know you shared it because I might have something for you. So let us know that you shared our post and other people are watching. Thank you so much for joining us at this time. Again, my name is Priscilla Ozodo Acevedo, and this is HTV, the ICON Podcast. In this new season of our podcast, we are creating opportunities for our guests and for you to speak up and advocate against injustice in Nigeria. And last week, we addressed the issues of the role of the church when it comes to persecution. And although we were talking particularly about the church and persecution, which is a church language, we had said that this is not just something for just Christians. How do we all need to respond to the situation today? Y'all, I'm excited to introduce our guests to you. We will be talking about the importance of the voice of the Nigerian youth in the fight against injustice in Nigeria today. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guests, but just hold on, just a minute. We will have the announcements first. All right, time for announcements. Hey, here we go. Yesterday was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we at ICON honor Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and we celebrate with the rest of the country the work and the service of Dr. Martin Luther King. One of the favorite quotes that we have that he's done that we love at ICON is this. It says, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied to a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. This is a challenge for us to speak up for injustice all over the world. I think my favorite thing about Dr. Martin Luther King's words is that it's almost speaks directly to us, whatever age, whatever era, whatever generation. These words speak for what's going on in Nigeria. Injustice, for one, affects all. So it's our responsibility to speak up for justice in Nigeria. Thank you, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And now to other announcements. Last week, we mentioned that we will be remembering Leah Shaibu's kidnapping. The anniversary, we'll be remembering that this week through a 7-day 7 days of prayer. Now, we want to remind you that we will have this 7 days of prayer starting on February 13th through February 19th. And each day we will post on all of our social media platforms. And those of you who are signed up to our emails, each day we will post about something that we can pray about with our friends. We will pray. You can pray with your friends, you can pray with your local communities, and you can pray with your church. Now, I've always said this is not something you need to do alone. If you're part of a group, part of a small group, this is a time to take these 7 days and join us as we intercede and pray, not just for Leah, but for injustice in Nigeria. We will have this 7 days of prayer, but on the 19th, on February 19th, we'll be teaming up with PSJ UK, PSJ Nigeria, and the Leah Foundation to pray globally online. And this will be 3 hours for the 3 years that Leah has been in captivity. It will begin, I believe, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 to 4 p.m. in Nigeria. That should be about 7 to 10 p.m. We will be dedicating 3 hours of prayer and reflection to the 3 years that Leah has been in captivity. So join us, mark your calendars. This is the time to, yes, pull out your phones again. Mark those dates on your calendars. First of all, the days of prayer are February 13th to February 19th, and the prayer day itself will be February 19th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US, and in Nigeria, that will be 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Thank you so much. We would love to share that time with you and would love to encourage her family and be able to share that our friends all over the world are praying. And now, for the news of the week. Y'all, I'm a break character and just, say that this news of the week is the hardest part for this job right here, because it's puts you face to face with the things that are happening in Nigeria. But I want to encourage you. We just give you the headlines. Please go back. Go to our Facebook page, sign up for our emails. We will send you updates on Mondays. Go back and read through these news details. We just give you like a few lines because we don't have time to tell the whole story. But please don't say, oh, I got the news of the week from HTV Podcast. Go read, browse, and find out that these things are still happening and then share it. On the first news of the week, we are reporting via Al Jazeera News that government troops and hundreds of residents were forced to flee after an armed group overran a town and captured a military base in northeast Nigeria, Borno State. This armed attack was claimed by an ISIS-affiliated group, and we received another report that the military base was recaptured and the Nigerian police has taken it back. And my question to that is, how secure are we when a military base is captured by militants and the military personnel flee for their lives? This is Nigeria. On other news, we received a report that according to the Nigerian police, 4 police officers were killed and 1 was missing after armed bandits attacked their convoy in northwest Nigeria on Friday. This happened on the Birnin-Gwari-Funtua Highway as they returned to their headquarters in Kano State. In Kano State, they were returning from an anti-bandit assignment in Niger State. 4 police officers were killed while on duty or while returning from duty. Our security forces are now being the ones that are attacked by the militants. What is our government doing? What can we do? Right now, before we continue, we just want to say, may God bless the families and comfort the families of these police officers who lost their lives while fighting to protect others. It's heartbreaking to hear stories of military and police officers who are captured and kidnapped and killed it makes me worry about who is safe. You know, if the military base is not safe and police officers is not safe, who is safe? This is where we pray. We pray and we speak as loudly as we can until the Nigerian government hears our voices. Okay, so that is the news of the day. I'm getting really excited because we're getting about time. Yes, that's a recurrence of the news that several government troops and several hundred residents were forced to flee due to Islamic insurgents. The same news. So I'm excited to welcome our guest today. I'm going to read his bio and then we'll have him come in the studio. I want you to listen to me before he comes into the studio because I don't want you to be distracted. He has a pretty impressive bio. But the thing that excites me about this news is as we're receiving all this negative, or about our guest today, as we're receiving all this negative news, it's encouraging to know that there's hope arising in Nigeria. There are a group of people that are saying things will not remain the way they are. So join me. Today, our guest is none other than Ibrahim Faruk, and he's an active Nigerian citizen based in Abuja, Nigeria. He has a Bachelor of Science degree in Political Science and a Master of Science degree in Conflict Management and Peace Studies, both from the University of Just. I didn't even know Uni Just does conflict management as a degree. That's pretty impressive. His areas of interest include, but are not limited to, indigenous settler conflict, citizen and youth participation in democracy and governance, and gender issues. Ibro has over 10 years of experience in democracy and good governance and cross-cutting fields and is currently the program manager of governance and development at Yaga Africa. As the national coordinator of the Not Too Young to Run movement, which successfully amended the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, his work has contributed to increasing the political participation of youth in Nigeria's political system. Wow. Ibro is part of the leadership and strategy team of the Not Too Young to Run movement and is a contributor to national discuss and appears regularly on national TV and radio. Ibrahim Faruk, it's such a joy to welcome you to our studios. Please say hello to our guests, tell them who you are, a little bit what I've not said, and just where did these passions come from?
Thank you very much, Priscilla, and thank you for having me on the podcast today. I know it's morning for you, but it's evening for us. But I think for me, I'm just really excited about the opportunity that I have to work with young people, and the passion started for me like years back, and just noticing that there's a gap when it comes to participation for young people in many formal spaces, and how many times as a young person, despite the capacity that you have to work or to bring about change, it seems like our societal norms always ask young people to wait for their time, or are you ready enough, or do you have enough experience? But for about 10 years, I've worked with Yaga Africa, and we've been able to do a lot of work around building the capacity of young people to engage.
I think we got disconnected. I think we're losing.
And we're very proud of the work that we've done in amending the Constitution with the Not Too Young. But
Ibro, you're breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if that's from my end or your end, but can you hear me?
I was just talking about the work done with.
Let's see. We're gonna wait to see if our guest comes back in the studio. I'm hoping that this is not a break from my end, but we have lost picture Um, I can hear you, Ibro. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I can hear you. Can you hear me though?
Perfect. We can hear you. We
Um,
can't see you though, but you can keep
I,
talking.
I'm so sorry. I think the challenges have been from my end.
Okay.
But I was just saying, being able to work with young people and increase the participation of
Mhm.
young people, especially. And then more recently, we've seen, especially in October, with young people coming out on the streets to talk about an end to police brutality.
Hmm.
And, just making our voices known, being able to unite around one issue,
Yeah.
and I think that that's very important for us. It's something that for us as an organization we're very particular about, and how we can work with young people and increase their level of participation. And
Awesome.
so that's what we've been doing. I know on the screen you can see some of the work we've done at Yaga Africa, but I'll be
Mhm.
glad to just shed some more light on the work that
Mm.
we've been doing and the work that we're going to continue to do, especially in the new year for us.
Awesome. So I can hear some of our audience saying, "What is Yaga Africa, and how did the Not Too Young to Run movement come about? How did that become a thing?"
So Yaga Africa is a civic hub, or you can call us a non-governmental organization,
Mhm.
and we're focused on three main areas. So we work around elections and electoral reform. We
Mhm.
work around legislative engagement, and that is engaging with members of the National Assembly and state houses of assembly, and then
Mm.
also around governance and development. And I work in the governance and development program, and
Okay.
that is where Not Too Young to Run falls under.
Mm.
But what Not Too Young to Run is basically, it's a movement of youth and civil society organizations that are
Mhm.
working to promote inclusion of young people in Nigeria's democratic spaces. And to answer the question around how did it come about, we noticed that in the constitution, prior to the signing of the amendment, to run for office, you had to
Mm.
be up to a certain age. And just to give a bit of background and a bit of context, to be to vote, you have to be at least 18. But previously, to be voted president, you had to be at least 40. If you
Wow.
wanted to run for Senate or for a governorship seat, you had to be 35.
Mm.
If you wanted to run for a House of Representatives or a House of Assembly, which is
Mm.
similar to like Congress or the
Mhm.
Parliament, you had to be at least 30 years old.
Mm.
What the amendment did was that it reduced some of those ages. So now to run for
Okay.
president, um, you can run for president at 35,
Wow.
and you can run for House of Representatives or House of Assembly at 25.
Oh,
So
wow.
what that this means is it reduces that age. So previously the age gap between when you can vote and be voted for was about 18 years, but
Mm.
now it's been significantly reduced to about 13 years because of the 5 year
Mm.
reduction. It's not the ideal situation, but
Mm.
we've made small progress and will continue to make progress in increasing that.
That's amazing. I'm looking at this picture on the screen where this bill was passed. It's your group standing with the president. Was the government, did they embrace this possibility of younger people running? And this is a two-part question. So, how excited was the government? That's you all there with the president of the country, and a lot of people are criticizing the president right now. But this is something good that they did. Were they excited about this new legislation, or did you have to fight for it?
So we kind of had to fight for it because it was a process that involved engaging with different stakeholders in the constitution amendment
Mm,
process.
mm,
This included members of the National Assembly, state houses
mm,
of assembly. So at the subnational level, we needed to have at least 24 out of 36 state houses of assembly to pass
mm,
it.
mm,
At the end, we had 33. But I
Wow.
remember at the signing, the president was full of praise for young people,
Mm,
and he recognized the fact that this was a movement that was designed and led by young people, and
mm,
young people were able to see it through from beginning to the end.
mm,
And one thing that was very important to us for us was we were able to have some shared values, in the
mm,
sense that we understood that there was a lack of representation and a lack
mm,
of inclusion for young people.
mm,
And all of us, regardless of the different interests that we had as young people, regardless of what the political affiliations were,
mm,
regardless of what part of the country you came from,
mhm,
regardless of any of those affiliations, we were able to
mhm.
unite around and that one shared purpose,
Yeah,
that the Not Too Young to Run movement represented for us.
that's amazing. Amazing. So I'm seeing a question that says, so what percentage of coverage can Yaga boost? I'm not sure what that question is implying. Um, but I'll come back to that question. What percentage can Yaga boost? AJ, can you bring that question at the end? But for now, I just want to say, going on with the conversation, what do you think the effect of young people in government will have on the way Nigeria is running now, particularly when it comes to these issues of insurrections by militants and terrorist groups? How do you think the inclusion of young people in government will help? Like, what are the older generation missing that young people will be able to add to government?
So young people definitely bring a lot of energy, a lot of creativity, a lot of innovation to any process.
Mm,
And I think, first of all, it's sad that when we look at other spheres of our life, we can see in technology, for instance, young people are doing amazing things. Fintech companies are springing up, entertainment companies are springing up. When it comes to issues around sports, we can see how young people are using sports to just unite the country,
mhm,
as well. But our politics was missing that energy and creativity and innovation that young people bring. But
mm,
also, in a democracy is about interests and about
yeah.
interests of all the various groups in society.
Mhm,
So it was undemocratic to have young people's voices excluded from the process, and we could not hear what was happening. I remember that while we're doing our research before we kicked off with the movement again,
mhm,
a lot of studies showed that when young people are excluded from formal spaces of
mm,
participation, they are more likely to find other informal ways to participate. And some of
mhm,
these means of participation might be violent. And you
mm,
see more young people turning to being thugs, to killing, and to so many other things. It's because they've been excluded from the process. They've been excluded from opportunities to more
mm,
actively and formally engage, and so their energies are channeled into something that it
mm.
shouldn't be channeled into, so to speak. But I think we've seen that with more young people, there's that energy, there's that vibe, that we can bring and change things.
Thank you. Ibro, do you think, and I'm just thinking, do you think that the voice you all have given to young people and the recognition gave young people a sense of, yeah, we can do this, we can get our voice heard? Do you think it helped to encourage the NSARS movement? And how did you engage with the NSARS movement?
So I think that with the history of youth movements, there's always been a connection.
Mm,
I was personally, I was part of the NSAS protests, and I joined my voices. I was on the streets in Abuja as well. And even during those times, you would hear a lot of conversations saying we must get involved, as in
mm,
we can't let it continue to be business as usual. And
mhm,
I think young people have started to realize the power that we have in our voices, the
mm,
power that we have in our numbers, and the powers we have when we come together, when we're able to unite around one issue. Right now, and that issue was around police brutality, and we could see how for many days young people were basically just able to hold this country to a standstill. But beyond that momentum, as young people, we must start to grow and engage with the process. Very soon the voter registration process is going to commence, and so young people who are interested in putting credible men and women in office must register to vote, and you have the capacity also run for office so that you are at the decision making table and you can influence what happens with young people. So whether it's around police brutality, whether it's around insecurity and killings and persecution of various groups, our political class is so powerful, and we must also learn how to engage with power in order to bring about some of the change that we want to see so desperately in our own generation.
You just hit something that was on my mind. I was like, he's prophetic. So my thing now is, especially for ICON, our interest is this terrorist activities, killings by militant groups in Nigeria. How can young people, because I've just been getting mad, like, why is the government doing nothing? How can young people engage with power to make a difference, to create more security, to end these killings? What are ways that the young people today, now, those watching us, can engage with the power of the Nigerian government to say, stop this nonsense? We are seeing police being killed. We are seeing mothers and children being driven away from their homes, fathers killed, and people living destitute. There's a huge amount of displaced people camps in Nigeria, the IDPs. So how can we make our voices heard to the government without fighting them? Because the End SARS movement eventually became almost like government versus young people, which that's not what we're going for. So in your opinion, with all the research and everything, what are some ways that young people can get their voices heard and get the government to respond to this crisis going on in northern Nigeria and in all of Nigeria right now?
Priscilla, I think that's a great way to just build on the conversation that we've been having. And I think one of the first things we need to do is to ask ourselves, what are the lessons that we can learn from previous engagements? And you mentioned how with the End SARS movement, it seemed like it became a more confrontational approach. And unfortunately, because we have so many remains of the military era, and our government always approaches some of the challenges it has with citizens as some sort of violent confrontation. We must learn to find other ways to engage. One of the lessons for me was using social media, first of all, to raise a lot of awareness and a lot of attention, and to organize around social media. And that was such a powerful lesson, and we've seen it in so many places. We saw it during the Arab Spring. We saw it even now with End SARS, and how the government cannot ignore our voices when they are so loud and when they are so united. Secondly, we must be able to find what are those values that we share, regardless of our differences. And I think it is painful when I listen to some of the conversations, and we tend to think that because an issue affects one region or one group of people more, others are not as affected, so they are not so concerned. But we're dealing with insecurity in northern Nigeria. We're dealing with insecurity in southern Nigeria. We're dealing with insecurity in various forms, and we must come to that place of understanding that first and foremost, that the effects of this insecurity and a lot of killings, the effects of police brutality and all those ramifications around these same issues are going to affect all of us. And I was speaking with someone earlier today, and I said the effects of what we're seeing today are going to remain for a long time, and we're going to have to deal with those effects And so unless we start to find those solutions now,
Mm.
we're going to continue to deal with those effects.
Mm.
But again, there's a time for political there's a time for political action,
Yeah.
and we have an opportunity, especially with elections coming up,
Mm.
and we must hold our leaders accountable.
Mm.
I know that election season, a lot of politicians make all these promises around what they are going to do.
Mhm.
And even in 2019, the current government promised to provide security, which is the primary responsibility, and it is in the constitution. So we
Mhm.
must remind them that the primary responsibility is the security and welfare of citizens
Mm.
in every part of the country. That is that, and continue to hammer it and use our advocacy tools and using platforms like this, where people from around the world can listen and understand what is happening, but
Mm.
also that Nigerians, our voices can be heard, and
Yeah.
using the tools that are available to us and hold our government accountable. And it's not too much to have young people writing stories and making recommendations in the
Mm.
media. It's not too
Mm.
young to have. It's not too much to have young people, producing content and
Yeah.
posting it on social media and just targeting it. And I'm not saying targeting in a bad way, but
Mm.
ensuring that your message is heard
Yeah.
by those who are in charge of security, by those who we have elected. For those who have elected and are responsible for the welfare and the security of our citizens. And like I said earlier, and this is very important for me, is
Mm.
that it is not just about one group of people.
Yeah.
It's about all of us, because in the
Yes.
end, we are all Nigerians, and this country belongs to all of us.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ibrahim. This has been enlightening. I feel like we just scratched the surface and we're like, oh, ding, ding, ding. But how can we follow you if some of our members of our audience want to learn more about what you're doing? What are some, like, your social media contacts? What are some ways that people can learn more about what you do?
So Yaga is on all social media as Yaga, YIAGA. And I'm just going to try very quickly to answer some of the questions that I saw popped up.
Mhm.
I know someone was asking about the coverage of Yaga or something, but
Yes. Yes.
we work across the country and also in some other African, West African countries. And our work, we can see, for example, with Not Too Young to Run, how there are many young people who got into office are,
Mhm.
and are participating, and that is as a direct result of the work we did.
Wow.
And I know there was another question around continuous voter registration and why we can't register all the time. And unfortunately, I think that's about INEC, and INEC does not have the capacity.
Mm.
But as part of our work that we do, we also engage with INEC around
Mhm.
voter education to ensure, especially for young people, to
Mm.
ensure that young people can participate effectively, first as voters and then probably later as candidates.
Yeah. Thank you, Grace Tukura, and thank you for everybody who dropped in a question. If they have more questions, go to Yaga, YIGA. AJ, do we have a slide with Yaga information? If not, there it is. Yaga.org. You can go to yaga.org. You'll be able to get all of their information. I have one question for you, Ibrahim, and this is as serious of a question as I can get. Are you going to be running for office in the next Nigerian elections?
Unfortunately, I am not going to be running in the next
Dang.
election, but I am going to continue to support a lot of young people. I actually met a very vibrant young man who is interested in running for office
Hmm.
today, and I'm going to be working to support his aspiration as well.
Awesome. Awesome. I was going to say, I'm going to come back to Nigeria and vote for you now. For those who are not in Nigeria, who cannot go register to vote, who cannot go do, physically be present there, what are ways that your work can be supported by the members of our audience who are in the diaspora or may not even be Nigerian and want to support what you do?
So one of the ways you can support what we do is to read about our work, to share about the work that we're doing. We share a lot of our work on social media, and that just
Mhm.
helps to amplify. There are also opportunities that you may come across that you think might help the work that we do. We're always open to working together and
Yeah.
collaborations and networks with different groups. Because the work we do is also very broad based. As
Yeah.
long as we share similar values and we're able
Mm.
to connect on some certain issues, we're always open to working together with anyone from anywhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest on HTV, this Icon podcast. We're so grateful that you took the time to be here. I'm sure that this will not be the last time we will have you on this podcast. Obviously, I didn't get through half of my questions for you, but we will definitely have you back sometime soon. Thank you so much. We pray that God will continue to bless the work that you're doing and keep us posted on how we can be of help in sharing the stories of what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Priscilla.
It's a pleasure to have you.
All right.
All righty. Thank you all so much for joining us again. Like I always say, y'all, Ibrahim Faruk is doing an amazing work, and you can get the word out there by just hitting the share button right now. In case you missed this at the beginning, share this with people. Join us as we spread the word about what's going on in Nigeria today. Go to yega.com, learn more about what he's doing. Follow us on iconhelp.org. Find us there, sign up for our emails, follow us on Facebook, I Can Help, on YouTube, I Can Help, on Twitter, I Can Help, on Instagram, Stand With Nigeria. We're going to rectify that because we need to be united across the board. But Stand With Nigeria on Instagram. I want to have conversations with you on Instagram. I'm looking out for your questions, your comments. You can talk with me personally on Instagram if you would like to do that. So follow us at Stand With Nigeria on Instagram. I said before, we are trying to build a community that comes together around this topic. So join us. We're excited to continue this conversation next week with another amazing guest. Don't forget, we have coming up in February the 7 days of prayer for Leah Sharibu. It's been a joy having this time with you. We apologize for the technical difficulties, and we can't control that, y'all. You know that. Okay. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. God bless you.